What is it like to buy a house in Austin right now with COVID-19? First off, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like the video at all, please hit like below. Please subscribe. We'd love to get you videos pretty often. We're going to answer 3 questions. What are the questions?
Burning questions this
Burning
week.
questions on your mind.
Number 1, what is the Austin market like right now?
Number 2, what will the Austin market be like next year?
And number 3, what is it actually physically like to buy a home during COVID-19?
Yeah, like, can you do it safely? That sort of thing.
Okay, so first of all, the number of homes that are actually going under contract now, it took a dip because of COVID-19. Everyone was kind of scared, pucker factor went way up. But it actually has returned and more houses are going under contract per day than they were before COVID-19. So it's actually accelerated from where it was before the crisis started.
The worst part was that 2 weeks where we were questionably not allowed to show homes in Travis County. And so that had the biggest impact. But yeah, more homes currently going under contract for sale.
Okay, in terms of actually getting your offer in, we are seeing fewer multiple offers. So now, instead of having to bid up and compete with a lot of buyers, people are actually getting their offer in and landed.
Definitely. Maybe even being the only offer, which in Austin in the spring is crazy. And even when there are multiple offers, less offers on that house that you have to compete against. So less chance that you have to go like $30,000 to $50,000 over, and more likely you get it at list or maybe a little above or a little below sort of thing.
Yeah, so instead of 14 buyers, there's maybe 3.
Yeah. What we did see is that during that time when we potentially couldn't show homes, the inventory, i.e. the number of homes just sitting on the market, went from 1,000 up to 1,500 in Austin itself.
During the crisis itself.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's kind of hovered there.
Yeah.
It's stuck and it stayed right there, which it takes about 3 to 4 months of inventory for a market to be considered balanced. In Austin, about 1,000 homes go under contract per month. And so it would take 3,000 to 4,000 for it to be considered a balanced market in Austin. And we're still hovering right around 1,500.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of buyers are likewise a little bit hesitant to buy because they're a little bit worried, right? And they think the sky might be falling. But on the other hand, they're also kind of expecting a bit of a deal because they think like, oh, the crisis is out there, the sky's gonna fall, so I should be able to get a deal.
Right, and so what my joke was there for a while was when everybody's calling you thinking that they're gonna get a deal right now and everybody wants to put in an offer thinking they're gonna get a deal, you're not gonna get a deal because everybody's putting an offer. So what we do see is it's a slight bit more balanced. Again, less multiple offers. So that is great for buyers. As far as springs for the last couple of years, this is I would say a better one to buy because you're less likely to have to bid it up to crazy and give away all of your contingencies in the contract and such. But screaming deals aren't happening very much right now.
Yeah, the screaming deal is only going to come if you have a lot of inventory and you've got more sellers than buyers, and we're just not seeing that yet. So that brings us to the next question, which is what will the Austin market be like in a year or in the near future?
Definitely. And obviously we don't have a crystal ball, but we have been studying the indicators, talking to lenders, studying what the think tanks are saying, studying what the major financial houses are expecting and anticipating, predicting.
Okay, mortgage defaults haven't actually increased in Austin. The last time I was able to get numbers was from March, because you can find those out on April 15th, and they hadn't moved by more than a couple percent. So they did go up a little bit.
Definitely.
But not enough to be like the sky's falling. So what I'm looking for are, hey, have defaults substantially increased, and hey, has the inventory changed? And the inventory hasn't changed that much, and defaults haven't moved, but we'll know more on the 15th of this month to see what April's defaults were like.
Definitely. It seems like the mandated deferment is helping people. And another thing we're seeing is that people are refinancing equity out of their home to hold them over.
Yeah, right now you've got equity, is it like sky high levels across the United States? Like 41% of people actually own their home outright.
Which is amazing.
Right, so rates have gone down, which I'm sure you've seen. And so a lot of people have been rushing to refinance, but a lot of people are also refinancing to take cash out so that they can float through or hold themselves over during the crisis in case they need some cash to make an extra payment.
Definitely, and the government has actually made it okay to pull out up to $100,000 from your tax-deferred investment accounts.
Like 401ks and SEPs and things like that.
Without any sort of penalty, and then even distribute that as income over 3 years, and so that it doesn't give you an excessive tax burden in this year, in order to be able to hold you over as well. So anybody who had equity in their home, investments to work with, things like that, they have options to hold them over and make it so that they're not going to default on their home.
Yeah, the government is throwing a lot of tools at being able to keep the housing market upright. Now, there's a lot of printing and stuff going on, and maybe that'll come back to bite us later, but in the short term, everyone is so far making the payments.
And as far as economic think tanks and the big financial houses, they're anticipating anywhere from 6 months to 2 years for the job market to really make a full comeback.
Yeah.
And so having some tools with which people can use deferment and pulling retirement funds out and other things to be able to make sure they can make their mortgage and pay for food and basic things is super important.
Now, one other thing to consider is that COVID has hit probably the retail and the service industry the hardest, right? Because those are the people who interface with people directly all day, every day for their work. And in Austin, that makes up 12% of our local economy, which is not trivial, but it's also not catastrophic. It's not like 50%. So just something to keep in mind that 12% of the economy has been hit the worst.
Yeah, definitely. And what we're seeing is that because Austin had such low inventory, and it only came up, 50% from where it was at, which was crazy low, and is still probably half of where it needs to be at to have a balanced buyer-seller market, that it's just, we don't see it taking as much of a hit as, maybe the larger economy will, et cetera.
Yeah, now all the recession talk, like when businesses or when there's unemployment, there's going to be less corporate activity, which means less earnings. And so money will certainly shrink out of the economy. And all the headlines that you hear are national. Right?
Yeah.
So the economy is certainly going to shrink, and that's going to have some downstream effects. They've been mitigated somewhat by government programs, but there's still going to be less money out there. So there is going to be an impact, nationwide. But you also have to keep in mind that real estate is local, so you have to watch what your local market is doing compared to the national market.
And it would take a lot of foreclosures to switch over to a buyer's market at the current moment. And one thing to note too is that we actually don't advocate buying a house unless you're using very particular investment strategies. If you plan to live there less than 3, hopefully even 5 years, in which case, the impacts of all of this are liable to have worked themselves out.
That's right.
And what we look at is, the stats over time in Austin. If you bought and owned for over a 3-year period in the history of Austin, you pretty much always appreciated, even during crazy housing crisis land. Question number 3 is, can we be safe looking at houses right now in Austin? Or how safe can we be? And obviously, you don't want to go looking at a bazillion houses right now. Like, you want to call it safe as much as possible. So you just want to look at the most promising houses. You want to prefer vacant houses.
And you want to use a lot of Clorox wipes.
We have a lot of Clorox wipes.
I just carry them around in my car. My fingertips are practically burnt off of those things.
Yeah, I know. And my hands will sting after showing. So it's not healthy, but on the other hand, it's healthy.
So yeah, you just mask up. You get the Clorox wipe out. You touch everything with the Clorox mask.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
The Clorox mask, no. A
Lots
Clorox wipe.
of social distancing, which means I don't get to hug people.
Yes.
The introverts are very glad that I don't get to hug them.
I'm an introvert and I like your hugs.
Oh. And so I don't get to do as many hugs, which makes me sad. But we do, we're able to respect that social distancing.
So everyone's getting really into software and the Zoom thing, and even title companies are figuring out how to do it remotely so that with a camera they can look at your ID and sign, and you can close from your house.
And when you're sending in checks, they're finding ways to be able to do that all electronically. You Venmo the option to the seller, things like that, so that we have as few pieces of paper exchanging hands and potentially germs as possible. Also, a new thing that's out is that they have these services that will come in and basically alcohol scrub down the entire house and super cleanse.
Really?
Yeah, to be
That's
able
cool.
to theoretically purify the house of the virus.
That's a really cool biz. I like that.
Right? And more movers are becoming cognizant of that. But you want to keep an eye on them. I have some funny stories around that.
Oh, really? We got to share.
Well, somebody paid extra to a moving company to have them be super duper careful about germs. And then he watched them tear every bit of tape with their mouth as they were putting it around the boxes. And he was like, oh, And I
that
was
like
like,
an extra?
dude, I get it.
You like had to check the box to pay
I know, right? Extra for the slaw.
$50 for that mover's saliva on the tape.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, not so much.
Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you got anything out of it, we would love it if you would like. And then additionally, if you're up for subscribing, we would love it as well. We try and do lots of videos, not only about buying and selling and investing in an intelligent way in Austin, but also just about what are fun things to do in Austin, what cool neighborhoods to live in, and good social causes around Austin as well. So we'd love it, guys. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, I didn't have it recording the entire time.